Um, I felt like at the end she was going to ask me to marry her.
What would you have said?
I would have said, I would, but I'm already married.
Hey, welcome back to In Their Own Words, Running Edition. Today we are joined for episode 3 by Leah Ling. She was recognized by Amy Katz for being one of Amy's first friends in Missoula. In this episode, we talk about Leah's journey and present goals as a trail runner. We talk about our experiences growing up as Asian Americans, and then we address the 5 life questions. So let's jump into it, and I'll see you guys on the other side. Today, we are joined by Leah Ling on In Their Own Words. So excited to get to continue diving into this running community that, frankly, I know very little about. So yeah, the each additional person is so much fun for me personally. So Leah, why don't you kind of kick us off, set us up by telling us a little bit about where you're at in life today.
Yeah, well, I guess just a brief intro is I grew up in Raleigh, North Carolina, and went to undergrad also in North Carolina. So I lived there for the first 25 years of my life, and I loved playing ball sports like soccer and basketball, and I hated running. I think I played the goalie on the soccer team, and I remember one time we did like a team run around campus, and I threw up, and it was like a mile and a half probably. So that was my running career.
Yeah, fantastic start.
And then I did a couple races in college because I started liking it more. And then after college, I didn't know what I wanted to do. And so I took some prerequisite classes and then ended up going to physical therapy school. And I applied all over the country because I just was ready to leave North Carolina. And I basically applied to schools near mountains. And I got into the University of Montana and the University of Vermont. So I had a big decision to make. And I decided to go to the University of Montana because I visited the campus and I really loved the faculty. And Missoula seemed like a cool place, even though I went on this weekend in February when it was gray. I didn't know then that it's just always gray in February. So I moved there in 2018 to Missoula. I started dating my now husband maybe like 5 or 6 months before then. And it was a new relationship. And I basically told him like, I'm moving to Montana in August, and he came with me. So he moved out there with me.
Yeah.
Started PT school and was running a lot those years. And PT school is 3 years. And then after that, I graduated, stuck around in Missoula for a year, and then did a lot of running then too. And then I actually moved to Salt Lake City last summer to do a neurologic residency program in physical therapy, which is basically additional training that's not, it's not necessary like for doctors, but it's just more training you can choose to do if you want to. So I'm at the University of Utah right now. And I just realized in providing this bio that it's very professional. It's because in this residency, I've had to give my bio so many times that
Sure.
that's just the one that comes out.
Sure. Yeah.
But
That's all right.
that's me in a nutshell. But I really
Yeah.
like to do things outside and
Yeah.
fun things, not just work. So I hope it doesn't make it sound like I have to work.
Well, hopefully this conversation is much more fun than the work-oriented conversations, but we'll see. We're gonna come back to the running in just a second, but just kind of check in on the mentals. How are your mentals doing?
How are my mentals? What do you mean?
Yeah, just like if you did a quick evaluation of your mental health.
Right now?
Yeah.
Like in this moment or over the past week or year?
I'd say over the past week.
Over the past week.
Yeah.
I'm definitely, I mean, right now, work is kind of demanding. So I'm definitely in like a period of stress and probably higher anxiety than normal.
Yeah.
But also finding time to get outside. And I think it's just one of those periods of life where things are really busy. And so you don't have a lot of free time to reflect. But I have been dabbling with some meditation which helps.
Nice.
Yeah.
Right on.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the king of tangents, but it feels like it's too soon to jump on one.
Oh, you can tangent now.
I'm curious, what other like forms of like just kind of like intentionality do you have, if any?
Yeah, definitely meditation has been really great. I've been using
Nice.
Insight Timer because it's free.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I just like to do that in the morning. I feel like it starts the morning off on the right foot.
yeah.
Something that I've done in the past year back in Missoula, I was doing is I was going to float tanks, which was pretty cool.
I've
Where
heard
you
of
just like,
those.
have you heard of them? Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it was a gimmick. Actually, Amy, friend,
Mhm.
suggested that I try it, and I went in there for an hour, and it was the like most relaxed that I've ever been afterwards. I felt like it wasn't safe for me to drive my car home. That's how
Wow.
relaxed I was. Yeah, like
Yeah,
I truly felt altered.
yeah. It's
Yeah.
like you're awake, but nobody's home.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Dang.
So I haven't done that here, but that's something that's worked in the past for me. Also deleting Instagram definitely makes me
Hmm.
more intentional. So I go
Wow.
through cycles where I delete it for, a few weeks or a month at a time, and then I re-download it and have a healthy relationship with it, and then it
Yeah.
spirals out of control, and then I delete it again.
Interesting. What are the
That's my cycle.
signals? You're not the first person to tell me this, but you're the first
Mhm.
person I'm prying into about this. What are
Okay.
the signals of spiraling into social media?
I think it's just when I reach for my phone when I'm I don't want to say bored, but just unoccupied.
Hmm.
Because I feel like those moments when you're just staring into space are actually really valuable, and the phone really robs you of that. And I find that that's the only thing that I really reach for the phone for. Like when Instagram is deleted, I'll still reach for the phone because it's a habit, but then I end
Sure.
up just like looking at the weather a
Yeah.
lot in different places. And then I'm
Yeah.
like, this is boring. So yeah,
We'll get rid of it sooner.
it's not quite as addictive. We'll let it
Yeah.
out. Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely. Definitely. Well,
So I'd say
depends on
that's
where you're looking. Yeah.
that's true. That's true.
Sounds like February in Missoula. Not so exciting.
Not so exciting. We
But
know what it's gonna be.
yeah. Okay. A little bit of um a little bit of research into Leah
Mhm.
will quickly show just how much of an adventurous spirit you have. I'm kind of curious, what came first, like that sense of adventure or like running?
Sense of adventure first,
Yeah.
actually. Yeah. Um, because the first time I liked trail running, or sorry,
Yeah.
the first time I liked running was when I discovered trail running my
Mm.
sophomore year of college. It was sophomore fall, and it was the first time I'd ever liked it. Someone just introduced me to it. And so I like did some trail runs in August of that year, I remember, and then in October I ran my first trail half marathon, and then in February I ran my first trail marathon, and I was on track to run a trail 50K, but then my IT band blew up.
Oh
So
my God.
yeah, but I think it was just that like exploration of what it means to go longer and longer. Like it was really cool for me. And I
Yeah.
was like 19 or something. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I just feel like it really caught my interest and I kept doing it. But then I hiked the Pacific Crest Trail after college.
Yes.
And that was just like, I mean, a total life-changing experience. But one of the things was we were just hiking these long days every day. And so when I got home from the trail, I was just wondering, like, what would it be like to run 50 miles in a day? I'm really curious. And so that's what got me into running longer distances.
Yeah.
And that's something that I really, really love
Yeah.
now. And so I think, yeah, adventure came first and then running.
Very cool. I can confidently say I've never had the thought, wonder what it would be like to run 50 miles.
Well, you
Uh,
may. You may one day.
I won't count it out. Um, it appears the longer distances that you run, right? It almost then also feeds that like wanderlust.
Yeah.
And while that seems very obvious to the non-runner, how would you kind of describe that relationship of like how the limits push each other in your life?
Um, well, I think there's definitely, I don't know if this is answering your question, but there's definitely a wanderlust component and adventure to the longer stuff. But I also am kind of a competitive person, at least with sports. And so
Sure.
there's that like driving motivation as well to train for these longer
Mm,
things. So I think just the combination, like getting to have a big adventure for a day or multiple days and getting to compete, it's like the best thing in the world, in my
mm.
opinion.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
that
hard to
makes
stay away.
sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you still actively competing today?
Um, I had a whole injury problem last fall of 2021, where I ran the Wasatch 100 in Utah, actually, before I lived here. And then afterwards, I had this whole hip injury come up, and got these MRI findings that said I had cartilage damage, which is bad. And so there was a while, like many months, where I thought I would never be able to run again. And so I was like biking and skiing and just seeing what I could do. And now
Sure.
it's been almost a year and a half since then, and I'm back to running some. So I haven't done any races in the past year and a half, and I've just been like learning to love mountain biking, which now
Yeah.
I'm obsessed with mountain biking, and backcountry skiing, obsessed with that
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
So now I have these two other like outdoor sports that I love.
Yeah.
And I'm going to try and run an ultra this summer. So we'll see.
I know very little about cartilage damage, but I feel like we're sitting with a great person who I can ask here. I said we'd stay away from work, but
That's fine.
I'm just kind of curious. It's my understanding that like cartilage damage, you can't really walk back. Is that
Yeah,
correct?
yeah, it's something that doesn't regrow really.
Mm.
See, I'm a neuro PT,
Okay.
so this is more of an orthopedic type thing.
That's as
Which-
deep as we need to go. Because
No,
then,
that's fine. That's as deep as I go. I can't really tell you anything else.
well,
If anyone listens to this who's a ortho PT, they're gonna be like, that person has a license. But what I can tell you is that it's not good to have cartilage damage at age 20. I was 28. That's bad.
yeah. So then, like, I mean, excuse the bluntness,
Mhm.
but why
Will running
run?
make it worse?
Sorry?
Oh, were you gonna ask, will running make it worse?
Yeah, well, even simpler than that. Why run like in the competitive format?
Because I
Again.
love it. And I tried to let it go. I tried to do like a whole grief processing thing. And I think I did, but then I tried running again and it went okay.
Mhm.
And so that now I'm curious again, because I have all these like big goals with running. And so I
Yeah.
still want to see if I can do them, but with more biking. Like I'm not running the same way that I did.
Uh-huh. What are some of those goals now?
I don't know. They're like they're results oriented goals, which
Okay.
is lame. I know
Okay.
that we're not supposed to want those. We're supposed
We
to be
still have them.
process oriented.
Uh-huh.
And I am. I mean, I really enjoy the process and the opportunity to do all these things. And I definitely don't take it for granted, but want to like win a 100-miler or like set a course record at a 50-miler coming
Yeah.
up. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Why not?
Why? Yeah, why not? Might as well give it a go.
Yeah. Well, we know the why not, but at this point, if you're cool with it, then I
Yeah.
mean, bust through and get there. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
Right.
we'll see. But I also want to try some bike races this summer, which is totally
Yeah.
new and I will not be competitive. So that's
Yeah.
like another fun thing,
Yeah. You mentioned still curious a lot about running.
Okay, that's fine.
What are you still learning?
What am I still learning? Well,
Yeah.
now it feels like a totally different lead up to these longer races. Like before I had this like process that worked and I knew like how many miles I was running per week and daily runs and these long runs and this and that and this type of workout. And now I can't really do that. And so it's totally different. And so I don't know what will happen.
Yeah.
I'm afraid that I'll just show up on race day and be super slow. I
Yeah.
have no idea. So it just feels like I'm learning how to train with like more sports incorporated. And I don't even want to call them cross training because like I really enjoy them for what they are, like
Right.
they're their own sports. They're not just like something I do because I can't run. Like honestly, I don't think I would give them up.
Right.
So now it's like trying to become, I think, maybe more of like a well-rounded mountain athlete
Yeah.
versus just a runner.
Yeah. Does the Ironman appeal to you?
No, because I don't like swimming. But a
So
trail
close.
duathlon, yes, mountain biking and trail running, I would do.
Yeah. Very
But
cool.
the problem is all those races are too short. So if you find one that's like a 50-mile run and a like 100-mile bike, I would do that.
I'll be on the lookout, and
Yeah, just let me know.
I'll get back
Let
to
me know
you
if you wear one.
about that. Yeah, right on. Okay, to kind of wrap up the running segment here. Ooh, are you sipping a little wine right now?
Yeah, I am, because I wanted to make sure that I actually give you something.
On a Thursday night, we love it. No, we're fully here for it.
I love it.
So
Yeah.
appreciate it. All right, to kind of wrap up the running portion here, just gonna have you describe your ideal run. And what I want here is just paint as strong of a picture as you can. I want to get the details of like the weather, time of day,
Okay.
what you're thinking about on the run, who's there with you. Just kind
Oh,
of jog us through it.
okay. This is okay. I don't really ever talk about running very much with people because I feel like they don't want to hear about it, but it seems like you want to hear. So,
I do.
well, it's definitely like a mountain run, but on single track. It's 100% single track. There's no roads. And I don't know, it's gonna have like 3 passes you go through, and you tag a peak, and it's gonna be like it's gonna take 4 hours, and it's fall, and the aspen are all yellow or larches wherever you are, and the air is very clear.
Wait, hold
Sky
on.
is very blue. Huh?
No. Where are you? Where is this? Literally.
Oh, I have to pick?
Yeah.
Oh, that's too hard. I can't pick.
No, that's the name of the game.
Oh. Okay. Well, does it have to be specific? Some national forest in Montana where there's no one at the trailhead, and
Perfect. We can work with that.
you're gonna see like an old guy with a backpack who mansplains to you along the way. But only one.
Sure. Not more than one. That
Yeah.
would ruin it. Yeah.
And there's gonna be water along the route, but not like way too many crossings. And maybe the temperature is optimal enough that the dog can come.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And I think I would do it with, my husband or like a girlfriend.
Nice.
Yeah. That's all.
What topics come up when you're on a run kind of chatting? Or is it just silence? We're dialed in.
It depends on who it is. I don't really know what I talk to my husband about when we're running. Probably just more of the same,
Yeah.
And then whatever we talk about. But with a girlfriend, I don't know, you just chat about like how your week was and what's going on in your job, and I don't know, things you're looking forward to or things that were hard, or I don't
True.
even know. Yeah, it's just great. Makes the miles fly by.
For sure.
Mhm.
Right on. Okay, and then this is my favorite question to ask after the ideal run, beautiful picture that you just painted. At the end of it, what are we grabbing to eat?
During or after?
After.
Oh, after.
Yeah.
I think just like a burger, fries, and a beer at some kind of roadside bar.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. A place where they're like, who are these people in these clothes? These shorts. Yeah.
I'm a little surprised by that.
Why?
It just feels like I don't know. I feel like in these like super long distance runners, like it's just like, I don't know. A burger is just kind of a first.
Oh. Yeah, I try to I think burgers are pretty big with trail people. I don't know, maybe.
Yeah.
I haven't got enough trail runners, but yeah, I try to
Probably not.
eat the burgers.
Yeah, sure. Fair
Yeah.
enough.
After a 4-hour run, you're like pretty hungry.
Yeah.
And you probably, like by the time you get going, drive the trailhead, like you end up running through lunch, so you miss lunch.
Yeah.
It's like very hungry.
Yeah.
And it just feels right.
Yeah.
Also, there's like, because you made me choose a place for this trail run, and I picked like rural Montana.
Yeah.
There's like no services, so the only restaurants you're gonna find are like bars.
Burger joints. Yeah. That's fair.
Yeah, but yeah, that's what I pick.
Okay, I did speed watch you and your husband's travels through Mont Blanc.
How did you find that?
Fantastic. I'd say I'd rate your narrating 10 out of 10.
No. How did you find it on the internet? Did Amy give it to you?
I found it just fascinating. It's my job to figure out what I can about my guests coming on.
Well, I'm glad you liked it.
Yeah. How would you compare the trail along the trail foods in the hills of France versus the hills of Montana?
I mean, obviously better, but some aspects of the food on the Mont Blanc were not as good as I was expecting.
Okay.
Like when you stay in these huts, you get bread every morning and you think
Yeah.
like, oh man, you're in France, Italy, and Switzerland. The bread is probably incredible, but it's
Right.
just like actually not good. It's like dry
Yeah.
wheat-ish bread
Yeah.
that with no butter or jam or anything, just in a
Yeah.
basket, like cold.
Right. You're at 8,000 feet and you
Yeah,
then
I guess that's
realize
fair.
like, oh yeah,
Sounding
these
very
people
entitled.
just
Yeah. But you just have this image of like eating fresh croissants every day,
Right.
and it's like, oh, this dry bread again.
Yeah. Those
Yeah.
dang
But
Disney movies make it
the
seem
food
so
was the
picturesque.
food
Yeah.
was very good. The trail was very crowded. So it's a different
really?
experience.
Yeah.
There's so many people who do it. It's very popular. And also
Mm.
like the Alps don't feel like wilderness because there's like power lines and ski resorts and ski
Right.
lifts and like
Right.
roads and people.
Yeah, people live there straight up.
Yeah, they live there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a fair point. Right.
So it's
I agree with
beautiful,
that.
but just more like not more developed, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair. All right. Well, thank you for entertaining me on that a little bit. I was very jealous of the still, no matter what, the brie at like 9,000 feet with the views that you had was just like that looked amazing. So yeah, right on. All right, we are now going to switch over to kind of go a little deeper here, Leah, and peel the layers of the onion back. And to start things off, gonna share with you this message from Amy.
Leah, I honor you for your humor and your loyalty as a friend. Man, I just really, truly have never had a friend like you. A friend in which I just never really know when you pick up the phone and just say, hey, whether you actually want to talk to me at all. Never had a friend who hasn't seen me in 6 months and I just have to beg on my hands and knees to get a hug. Truly something special. But also just a friend who, like, I just really feel like I can't express how much you mean to me and how much I love you. And it's really something that I don't like doing to your face because I think you hate it. But truly, like, I could spend every day hanging out with you. And it's been really like a tough last year having you be so far away. I hope that we don't have to go the rest of our lives like that. And you've taught me a lot about just like how to be a grown-up, how to be an adult, and how to just like navigate life. We've been through some rough times over the last few years, but also just a lot of good ones. And I truly don't laugh harder than I do when I'm with you, whether that's pushing bikes up some absurd climb or being enabled into buying $300 worth of clothes at REI for no reason. It's just really fun doing life with you. So I honor you.
That wasn't so long, was it?
No, you're right.
Tell us kind of your gut reaction. What's going through your mind as you think about that?
That was very heartfelt. I really, I appreciate everything that she said. I felt like at the end she was going to ask me to marry her.
What would you have said if she had?
I would have said, I would, but I'm already married.
Seems like a little bit of a cop out, but yeah, okay.
It was really nice of her to say all those things. Yeah.
A couple of things that she said I want to double click into. She started off by honoring you for your sense of loyalty. Does that resonate with you?
Yeah.
How so? Why?
I think that, so I'm an only child. And I think that in my life, I've really valued close friendships versus having a large social network. Like I just don't have the time or energy to cultivate a bunch of people out there. But for the friends that I do have, like I do anything for them, and we're very close, and yeah. So I feel like that rings true.
Right on. And then when she kind of at the end there, she said, "Love doing life with you." For me, she kind of said it in a way that captured the sense of spontaneity, and I
Yeah.
wonder if that kind of resonates with you too.
Yeah, you're right. I feel like life with Amy is spontaneous, and one thing that I really miss about living in Missoula is just be like, she was one of just a couple friends I have where you can just like walk into their house completely unannounced and just like show up in their kitchen. And like I've done that before, and she hasn't been home, and I've just been like sitting in her kitchen for a while. And I'm like, well, I guess I'll leave because she's like not answering her phone and she's not home. But other times it works out, and it's like, let's go on a bike ride, you know?
Yeah,
So I
yeah,
feel like that's kind of what she is referencing maybe. And we borrow clothes from each other.
love it, love it.
Yeah, I miss that.
Very cool. I mean, it sounds like tying the knot. It doesn't seem like a huge step, but I mean,
No,
I'll
no.
leave that up to you. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
All right. Well, we're gonna go a little deeper now, and Leah, getting to know you a little bit better. Kick us off by sharing with us, if you would be so kind, your top 3 core values.
Okay. I was talking to my husband about a lot of these questions beforehand. So I said authenticity, and he didn't think that was a core value. But I think that it is. So I'm
I
gonna
think it
push
is
back on
too.
that, and I'm gonna say authenticity.
Yeah,
Another, this isn't really, I don't think this is the right like class of word, but humor. I like
totally.
humor, not just like in a haha funny joke, but also just like viewing the world with kind of like a darker sense of humor as well, and just kind of being like, well, these are the things that happen, and that's terrible. That kind
Yeah,
of thing. Just
sure.
maybe it's a coping
The
mechanism.
world
I
is
don't know.
ending, and yeah,
Yeah, but gosh, here we
uh-huh.
are.
Yeah,
We're
here
running
we
our
are.
long runs. And then, oh, what was the third one I thought of? This was really hard. I can't have only 2. Hmm.
If you would like.
Oh,
Yeah,
I remember. Husband came up with this one. Commitment, and like choosing lofty goals and remaining committed to the cause until I either achieve them or come close,
Mm-hmm.
which has probably been a theme throughout my life. So yeah.
How so? Let's walk these back and tell me a little bit about each one.
I don't know. I was like an overscheduled high schooler trying to go to a elite college, and I did that.
Uh-huh.
But it was like a grind for like 4 years.
Mhm.
Or working really hard like to be a better basketball player. Like I would go to these 7 a.m., which seemed early in middle school, 7 a.m. trainings over the summer to like work on my ball handling, things like that.
Yeah.
Or I don't know, like all this ultra running obviously are like longer goals that you have to work towards. Or like professionally, I enjoy striving to be a better and better version of myself. So
Yeah. Right on. Give me 1 second. The way you're saying it, commitment, I don't know, my brain for whatever reason jumps to like relational commitment, like commitment to people.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
not at all saying that commitment doesn't work for this, what you're describing. I just feel like there's a word that's like on the freaking tip of my tongue, and I'm just looking for it.
Discipline. No.
I think so. I think
I don't
it's
like
more in the
that
warehouse of discipline.
Discipline sounds unfun
I see.
and too intense.
Uh-huh.
Although it probably is me, but I don't want to identify with it.
Fair enough. Which is, it sounds like, yeah, too dark, which is then a good segue into the humor thing. Is it
Yeah.
just like can't get a good laugh out of discipline?
Yeah, discipline is just like white knuckling everything and
Yeah.
no fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Now, you've given us a little snippet about humor, but tell us more about authenticity and how that shows up in your life.
I think just being I don't know, like every day trying to be a person that you would respect and being kind to everyone and not acting different than how you truly are. Like I try not to pretend to be someone I'm not or act like I'm someone I'm not.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm definitely an introvert and I'm kind of awkward and I try to just embody that for the past like 10 years, whereas
Mm-hmm.
that wasn't always easy for me.
Embodying that.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Mhm.
Yeah. Hmm. Why was it important for you to try to embody that if that wasn't easy for you?
Um, well, I said 10 years, probably more like 7 years. I had this whole shift when I was hiking the Pacific Crest Trail. And
Yeah.
I feel like I went into it like coming out of college. I've been out for a year, but in college, I tried to be like more social than I am and like go to a lot of parties and just, I don't know, be a different person and like dress a different way than I like to dress just to like, I don't know, align with some other image that I had in my brain. But then
Sure.
I feel like the PCT was just so much, I did it with a friend, but it's still so much alone time and like time in your head. I mean, you're hiking for like 8 hours a day for 4.5 months. Like that's just a
Yeah.
lot of time to think.
Yeah.
And people really like you make good friendships on the trail really quickly and people just accepted me for who I was. And so
Yeah.
I feel like after that experience, I was like, this is just who I am. I'm not
Yeah.
gonna like put on any fronts to be someone I'm not. And it just feels a lot better.
Yeah. It was a bit. It sounds like it was a pretty liberating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
Right. Okay, then kind of go peeling another layer back here,
Mhm.
and we do our best to. I didn't preface values, but that's okay. We do our best to live from a place of values because they are, intrinsically fulfilling, um, hopefully. But then there's always kind of like a dark side, and that dark side is our fears. So I'm curious, then on that note, like where your fears are at now.
I think my fears are just mediocrity in all things. Like whether it's like the like sports field, like running or other things, or professionally, or like in relationships where they're like, oh yeah, like she's okay. She's okay as a person. Yeah.
Mhm.
That kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's a
Have you
fear.
have you been mediocre before?
Um, Now this feels like therapy. I not real. Well, I mean, it depends. Yes, I have. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
It
Was
felt
it
bad.
bad?
Yeah, it was
What?
bad.
Yeah. What was bad about it?
I don't know. I just feel like I still look at like there was this one race I ran in 2019 and I got like 10th and that just felt bad. Like I still think about it. I'm like I have all these other race results that feel good to me and then I got 10th and I just it's almost like I'm embarrassed by it.
Hmm.
Mhm. Or like in college, I took a lot of intro classes, which was a bad decision. I took them all at once. And so I got a lot of C's for the first time in my life.
Uh-huh.
Didn't really like that either.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
hmm But I think that it's healthy to not be the best in all capacities. Because I think you actually learn better when you're not trying to get the A, when you're just learning the material.
Are you saying that because people say that and you feel like you should say that?
No,
Or
No, I'm saying it. Like in
all
PT
right.
school, I got straight A's because I just had to do it.
Uh-huh.
But now I'm assisting with teaching as a part of this residency and the PT program here in Utah. And
Yeah.
I am having to relearn everything because I didn't learn it. And I'm just like, wow, I was just studying for the test and didn't
Uh-huh.
like none of this was retained.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
So now
I
I'm
know
feeling
that feeling
different.
well. Yeah, I know that feeling well, but I don't even have the A's to show for it. So, on that note, kudos to you.
No, thanks. I just learned how to take tests from a young age. It's unfortunate.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I still could have used that. What else? What other fears?
Oh man, I only came up with one.
People
Fears,
typically have like 2 to 4 in this range,
2
or
to
for
4
this question. Yeah.
fears. Oh, I guess like making a large life decision that I'll regret.
Okay. Yeah. You feel like something's coming up?
Yeah. Well, right now I'm deciding if I want to try and get a PhD, which is like a total shift from my work right now as a clinical PT.
Mm.
And so I think it's been keeping me up at night for like 4 months, and I think it's the right move for me, but it's still so scary because it's different, and it's one of those things where there's no way to know until you just do it.
Yeah.
But it feels like a big commitment, and I don't know if it's right for me. So I guess that's scary, of like just not knowing if it's the right decision to make.
For sure. For sure. What I find fascinating about that is going back to that point about mediocrity
Hmm.
is it goes back into that realm of like standards that are coming from not yourself.
Yeah.
At least
external
that's,
standards. Uh-huh.
yeah.
Yeah.
And we had just talked about like your time on the
Oh,
PCT
on
being
the
so
PCT.
liberating,
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
breaking
That's
off from
true.
it.
That does seem like to be in conflict. I think if you asked me this question in 10 years, I probably would have a different answer because I feel like I'm developing, as a human.
Sure.
But right
we
now, I'm still stuck on this like external source of gratification. But I think it's going to shift for me
Yeah.
at some point. Yeah, not yet.
Rooting
I'm
for you.
still holding on to the race results right now, but
Yeah.
I think there's going to come a time where I'm like, none of it matters. I'm just a person in the world.
Yeah.
living my life.
There's an entire world we could go into here in this conversation of what it's like growing up, Asian parents, strict Asian parents.
Mm-hmm.
Do we
Yeah,
take
you're
a
right.
quick look in there?
We can if you want.
Because when you kind of talked about like having those high school commitments,
Uh-huh.
right? For me, that totally resonated because I feel like between 6th grade and 12th grade, I
Mhm.
don't know if I was building my story, like my personal story that I'm very much building today, as
Mm.
much as I was building a college resume.
Yeah. 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 Yeah,
And
we can talk about that. I was building a resume for sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
But when I hit freshman fall, I think, I mean, I'm a very extroverted. I mean, I'm talking to strangers on a podcast that's being
Yeah, I
listened
would
to
never
by
do that.
5
That's not
people.
something I would do.
When I hit my first semester of like I ended up finishing 2 classes and just like going like way too far from standards. That's when it was kind of like, oh God, I need to find a balance. And so I didn't quite have that, like, I didn't keep the, hate to use this word, you're not gonna like me for it, but discipline going
Yeah.
into like the next stage of my own independence.
Yeah.
But
This is to me.
I guess the flip side of that is like the standards, I then very much had to like build back, and I was able to do that on my own.
Nice. I feel like I built them back partially. But yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that sounds similar to my path too. Like from 6th through 12th grade, me as well. My dad is Chinese and my mom is white, I guess. So I'm half Chinese.
Sure.
And my dad is really wonderful and loving and great. But I do feel like there was some of that like Asian stereotyped pressure to succeed from an early age. And he was like really successful in his career too. So that was a model. And so yeah, 6th through 12th grade, it was just like busy and I did a lot of things. And I agree, it felt like building a resume and definitely not discovering my true passions, although like soccer and basketball are like really fun. So no regrets there. But yeah, I think like, junior, senior of high school, I was like captain on the soccer team, captain on the basketball team, also playing travel soccer, playing first chair clarinet in the band. I rode horses competitively. I was president of the Key Club. I was in charge of the blood drive at school. And I think that's all. And then expected to make straight A's. and take all AP classes senior year.
Uh-huh.
And I applied to like 12 colleges
Uh-huh.
and visited like 25.
And then
So
went to the one in your backyard.
yeah, I know, it's funny, isn't it? I thought I wanted to get away, but then ended up being a good fit. But then I went to college, and I mean, I like found like alcohol and like going out, and
Right.
my grades just like plummeted, and I
Uh-huh.
definitely overcommitted because I think
Yeah.
I'd never actually learned how to study. Like I don't know, maybe high school just wasn't challenging enough, which sounds
Uh-huh.
silly, but I don't think I ever actually learned how to study for a class that's truly like above what you understand.
Yeah.
And so I was taking a bunch of those at once, and it was not good. And so I just got behind over and over again every semester. And so I was just kind of like mediocre in college, and was like, well, the sciences are not for me because I can't pass these intro classes. I guess I won't go to med school, and I'll just do something else in the humanities.
Is there a sense of, as you consider pursuing a PhD,
Mm-hmm.
is there a sense
In like a heart in a science? Isn't
right,
it funny?
no
Yeah.
less, yeah.
Yeah.
Is there a sense of, I'm trying not to use terminology that will then like get blended with the running.
That's
Is
fine.
there a sense that it's a track that's familiar, and at least
Yeah.
at school there's there's a
I
way to
know.
win, right?
I'm trying to not just buy into that, and I tried to not just say yes to this because it's like the next step,
Right.
But there's definitely that like excitement and momentum.
Yeah.
But I also feel like it's the right step for me. I've done a lot of reflecting to try to not just like do the next thing.
Yeah.
So I feel that ultimately it's right for me, but we will find out.
Good for you.
And then what happens when I'm done with that?
Right.
There's no next thing after that.
There's no next thing after that.
That's all. It's going to be over that. But I think that it'll allow me to have a job with very, like, theoretically, I become like a professor at a PT school, basically. And I think that job will give me enough variability and flexibility to, I don't know, I think it would be more fulfilling than being a clinical PT, which is just not as fulfilling for me for some reason.
Yeah.
And I wish it was. I want it to be, but I can't make it. I don't know.
There you go. That seems promising then.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I think that, like, I'll just have this thought and then we'll move on. But the thing that was not encouraged in that household of building a resume was like creativity and, dare I say, curiosity.
Yeah.
I think that creativity is more fitting though, because there's a sense of like expression through what you're doing. And for a long time, I just wasn't thinking about life that way. Right. It was jumping from one track to another.
Well, I also think that creativity and curiosity just like take too much time in that model. You have to have like free time to ponder, to truly be creative or curious. And in that model with like the overloaded resume, there's just no time for that. And you must spend the time doing like the menial tasks required to do all these different things. And so you just do that and you never ponder like the bigger questions or anything more interesting, and you just do what you're doing. I feel like that was my experience.
Yeah, no, I agree. I totally agree. And it's like, I know it can be fulfilling when you're, because you mix in things that you're passionate about, like soccer and basketball. Yeah. And it's not to say that there isn't joy in it. But yeah, the free time element is very key, and that kind of double clicks onto, you had mentioned that before, of that time of just being able to stare into space. Is meaningful time too. No kidding. Right on. Sure. All right, well, we can keep moving now. I like asking about fears because, yes, we're all going through something. But on the flip side of that, I think that when it comes to our successes in life, we are also not all that we appear to be. So the next question is, what is something that you are proud of that maybe not a lot of people know about?
Well, I was going to say hiking the Pacific Crest Trail, but we already talked about it.
You can still talk about it.
Okay. Well, it was just like a really big thing. And like a big life achievement that happened, and I didn't. It was my second backpacking trip, and I didn't even like backpacking before I did it. It was a big, like, I wrote in a journal every night on trail, and from like the entry from day 2 or day 3 just says like, this was a big gamble, but I do like backpacking.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that was just a big achievement, and like truly discovering the outdoors. Like, I didn't love the mountains before that. I wasn't an outdoor person.
Yeah.
So that was big for me, and I feel like changed my whole I mean, in some ways my value system. Like, now I value being outside and getting into the mountains, and it's the most important thing to me, whereas
Yeah.
before the trail I didn't know that about myself.
Yeah. Definitely. That's, I mean, liberating is the word that I gotta find a different word here. But that's gotta be,
Liberating experience.
yeah, transformative.
Have you read Wild?
I've not read Wild.
Okay, well, it's like the blockbuster version of this, but yeah. It's
Are you
a lady
saying,
who likes PCT, and it's the reason why everyone's heard of the PCT, because she's like a
okay,
famous author, and she hiked it, but she had this trauma she was healing from and stuff like that, but she didn't actually
yeah,
hike the whole trail, but people think she did. That's all.
gotcha. Did you think that at any point you weren't gonna finish it?
My dad thought I would make it 2 weeks.
Was that in the back of your head, or just like, I gotta prove Dad wrong?
Not necessarily. No. I don't know if there was ever a point I didn't think we would finish. I mean, there's a certain point where like things are just boring because you're just
Yeah,
hiking all day.
yeah,
So it's more of like, it's not there comes a point where you're like in really good shape, and it's no longer a physical endeavor, it's more of a mental endeavor.
yeah,
But I never thought we wouldn't finish.
yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
hmm Except for like snow. That was a concern. Snow in Washington.
Uh-huh.
We needed to finish before. They always said like finish before October,
Uh-huh.
and we finished September 28th, and like sure enough, there was a huge snowstorm right after that, so we wouldn't have made it.
Wow.
hmm
Dang.
Yeah.
Yeah, but mentally, no problem. You were just like, you knew you had it the whole time.
I mean, I don't want to say it was no problem. There are definitely like inconveniences and problems, but it's just a cool way to live. Like, knowing you have everything you need in your backpack and sleeping in a new place every night that you walk to, like, there's nothing like it.
Yeah. Did you ever think that, when you're going from uh sports ball practice to band practice,
Mhm.
that kind of life was going to be something that like you would find such an affinity for?
No, no. I didn't really even know about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How did you end up out
Like,
there?
I had a friend in college who was 2 years older than me. She's really great. And she texted me the fall after I graduated from college and just said, "Do you want to do the PCT with me?" And I just said, "Sure, how long is it?" But then we actually ended up doing it together in the next May.
Right on.
So yeah, I had like no aspirations to do it, but she just wanted to do it. And so I was like, sure, I'll do it.
Did you
And
have
made
an
it work.
inkling for what it was, or was it just like, this is a homie and I'm gonna, yeah, jump on
Well,
whatever she
eventually,
wants
like,
to do?
I Googled it and stuff. I was like,
Yeah,
"All
yeah,
right, long backpacking trip, 4.5 months.
yeah,
Just do it. It's over 2,000 miles. Yeah.
yeah. Right
Mhm.
on, right on. Okay, cool. Does that bring us to the end? I think it does. Second to last question. We have arrived. Let me just check.
We've arrived. I have a
The
friend who we have a joke about arriving. And I forget what it even came from, but we always say that. We've arrived.
We have not. I lied.
Oh, we've
Um,
arrived.
we have not arrived on this journey that we have kind of gone through now. Peeling layers back. Kind of curious if you have
Mhm.
any words of wisdom.
Oh,
Be so
words of wisdom.
kind to
Okay,
share.
here's my word of wisdom.
Yeah.
From earlier this week. So right now I work in inpatient rehab, which is, I don't know if people know what that is outside of PT world, but
Break
you
it down
basically
for us a little bit.
go to a rehab hospital and you stay there, and it's kind of a bridge from being in the main hospital after some kind of injury to going home. And so right now I'm on the spinal cord injury team, and I'm working with this girl who's a teenager who has a spinal cord injury, and it's challenging. And so I've been like gradually bonding with her over the past few weeks that I've been working with her. And I feel like we're actually really, like, she can definitely be a teenager, but I feel like we're very similar people at our core. And I told her that one day recently, and she was like, yeah. So that was a big win for me, for her to agree with me. But I was telling her about, because she's like not an outdoors person, really likes like makeup and taking pictures for Instagram and things like that, which like obviously it's not my world. But we were just like hanging out during a session one day recently, and I told her we got married this summer, my husband and I. And so she was asking about like our wedding and stuff, and I was like, yeah, I wore white Vans for the wedding whole time. And she was like, she could not believe it. She was like, wow, that's crazy to me. And I was like, the older you get, you just realize that like you can just do whatever you want and no one cares. So I feel like those are my words of wisdom, because it's
Nice.
something that I've been feeling lately, but I haven't really said out loud. But I said it out loud to her, and I was like,
Yeah.
yeah, that feels right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I feel
True
like we
that.
just worry about judgment from other people, what will they think
Yeah.
about this and that? But actually, no one's paying attention to you, and no one's going to care, and you should just do what makes you happy.
Everyone's a hero in their own story, and everyone's so busy being the hero in their own story that,
Yeah.
yeah, you should just do what makes you happy.
Hmm.
So, right on.
Yeah.
Do you think that message stuck with her, or was she like, nah, I'm never doing that? That's crazy.
No, she's kind of looked at me and was like, oh, like, I think she, like, it resonated a little bit with her, maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, imagine where you were at like mid-teenage years.
Yeah.
Is telling you, and you've had this life-changing injury. Like, there's a lot going on in her brain.
Yeah.
So who really
True.
knows? But yeah.
Okay. Yes. Now we arrived at my favorite question. I think this is the best question that there is. And I hype it up every time I'm about to ask it too. This is my second time asking it of the day, which makes it even better.
Wow.
But that is, Leah Ling, what is the best compliment that somebody could give you?
Oh yeah, I forgot what question this is gonna be. Okay, I didn't know, so I asked my husband, and this is what he said. He was sure of it. He was like, "Oh, there's two," and I was like, "Okay, there's two." So one of them is for I love to cook, and so one of them is for when someone like at a dinner party or eating something I made says, "This is the best like lasagna that I've ever had," or
Yeah.
like, "This is the best, I don't know, cheesecake I've ever had," something like that. That
Both
does it for me.
excellent choices. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. And then the other compliment is just when someone thinks I'm funny, and it's not even no one's like, you're funny, but just when like every now and then these moments happen where like the whole room erupts in laughter. That for me is like the best thing that could happen. And my husband said that because he's like, I know this because you come home from work and you're like, let me tell you about the story when I made everyone laugh today. So yeah.
That's awesome. I've never gotten an answer yet of somebody saying like, it's not somebody saying it like
Mhm.
happened.
Yeah. It's like a feeling when, yeah, people are just laughing and they can't say anything because it just like caught them off guard. They didn't see it coming.
Yes.
That feels good. Yeah.
That's an awesome
But it
answer.
doesn't happen very often. It happened recently, and yeah, feels good.
Right on.
Yeah.
Well, if it happened all the time, then
Right.
would it be so special?
No.
I mean, if it did, maybe you'd probably be on stage, on selling out arenas. But
Stand up?
yeah,
Yeah.
who
Maybe one
knows?
day.
Yeah. I can see it.
No. Too many people.
All right. I'm a little bummed that the cooking thing didn't come out until now, but that's okay. We leave something for our next conversation, Leah.
Sure.
So now we're at that point where, I ask of you to now honor somebody else. And the only like rule to it is that it's somebody kind of in the running community, somebody that you would identify as like, yeah, that person's a runner.
Okay.
Yeah. Do you know who you want to honor today?
Mhm.
Right on.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about this person.
Her name is Sara. She lives in Missoula. She was like my my best Missoula running friend through it all, but not even just a running friend, just best friend.
Yeah.
I met her pretty early on in PT school. She was 2 years ahead of me. And I think we just like became fast friends and love doing outdoor adventures together and have a lot of mutual respect for one another. And also just like love to have a good time together. So
Right on. Sounds
yeah.
good.
Yeah, I think I got it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, here we go.
Dear Sara, I honor you for your integrity. One time I was reading this article on irunfar.com, and it was about the concept of being a moral exemplar in running and in life. And when I read that article, I thought of you. I never told you about it, but I just think that you have so much strength and authenticity in your personal relationships and your career as a PT, and also in your running life and your love for being active, that I really admire and strive to be. I've so enjoyed all the adventures that we've gotten to go on together throughout the years, whether that's what we always wanted to be, which is a big old long run in Glacier National Park, or it's what we don't want it to be, which is driving up a perilous road to go cross country skiing in the rain, and then deciding not to cross country ski, and then sliding down the road in the ice in separate cars. All of these adventures with you have just been so wonderful, and I really appreciate your ability to find the humor in even miserable situations. When I was pacing you for just 1 mile at the Run Rabbit Run 100 this past fall, and we managed to get lost because you convinced me that a sign had been turned around, even though it definitely hadn't been turned around, and you were just confused, but I let you go with it. So anyways, I just really miss having you as an adventure buddy as I'm down here in Utah, and I hope for many, many adventures together in the future.
Thanks again to Leah for sharing her story with us. I don't think I've laughed so much in an interview as much as I did with Leah, but I want to call out a couple of things that stood out to me in this conversation. First, a note to all of the teenagers and iGenners out there. Adults shut off their Instagram. They take away social media for long periods of time. I got plenty of friends that do it. They do it to reset the mentals and just be present. It reminds me of what one of my favorite pastors likes to say. In your 20s, you spend a lot of time stressing about what other people think about you. In your 40s, you have less time, but you still get stressed about what other people think about you. When you get to your 60s, you realize no one was thinking about you anyways. So bringing it back, as Leah said, don't put on any fronts that aren't you. Take care of your mentals and just worry about being present for yourself. Second, I really appreciated Leah's honesty about her fear of mediocrity. I think a lot of us can relate to that. I also think one of the surest paths to mediocrity is pursuing goals by someone else's standards. I think it's awesome, as Leah says, that she's taken a lot of time reflecting to try not to just do the next thing. And I think a lot of you might benefit from spending some time setting your own standards for who you want to become. Those were a couple of the takeaways I had, but I'd love to hear what stood out to you. Let me know in the comments. And remember, it's never a bad time to reconnect with someone that you've been meaning to reach out to. See you guys in the next one.